Welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboys fear tread. Oh, on non-racing news, the R9 Yamaha just came out and said, "Oh, we're not going to bring it out. Get this till the third quarter of 2025."
All right.
Which means that it's not really going to be here until next year.
Probably not. Probably.
What is going
is
on?
Is that in the States or is that everywhere?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's everywhere.
Interesting. I guess we're gonna have to go and check and find out in that because yeah, that's a bit of a weird one for Yamaha.
Yeah, well, they earned a lot of they owe a lot of money. You know,
don't they all seem to be? But
yeah,
anyway,
I know they all do. But
actually, as we're on owing money, so a couple of things have come out about KTM this week. So firstly, we were told it was 3 billion.
Yeah.
Then we were told it was 1.8 billion, and now we're being told it's 2 billion is where the number is at now. So, and I would presume what that actually is the people scratching further and further behind this department and that department and the other department as the financial people are digging through the holes and stuff to try and find out. So I would think maybe that's probably somewhere, I'd say on the 25th of February, I think it is, or 28th of February, it's going to land somewhere between 2 and 3 billion is what the final figure is. And they have to have that deal with the creditors and all of that done by that stage also. So what the good news is, this one is for KTM is apparently 900 million has been pledged by current and possibly new stakeholders within the business. It is interesting that the CEO of KTM has stepped down. Well, stepped sideways. He hasn't actually stepped down, but there's going to be a new man. Can't remember his name now. In control, but I think Ibarra is going to be still around for until the merger or whatever happens. But it is kind of one of those things, I suppose, where he always had to go.
Yeah.
But and he will probably be made the scapegoat of all financial problems and stuff like that, you know.
Yes.
Which is normal standard behavior in these, is my understanding. What else was I going to say? So yeah, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting. It does look pretty positive. Now, I did see a person commenting on saying, why are you talking about KTM not developing? So, and I just want to be very factual and very clear with this. KTM do not have any money. The money situation probably realistically won't be sorted till June, July, August, or maybe even September of this year.
Right.
Agreements will be made, but they will not have proper funding to go and spend millions upon millions upon millions upon millions developing an 850cc engine.
Yes.
They just fucking won't.
Yes.
Sorry.
They didn't even want the 850 to begin with. Let's kid anybody.
But it does. But my kind of comment to this is that there's a person writing to me directly saying, why are you saying they won't develop? You don't know that. I do know that because they don't have any fucking money, right? It's very simple as that. They can't get 500 people developing fucking engines and all of this shit without money, right? It makes the world go round, right? They're already on the hook for 2 billion, right? So yes,
just because we like the MotoGP racing, right? It doesn't mean that the board members like it or the stockholders like it. Stockholders like one thing: money.
Yeah, like but let's be very fair, right? The money that they have from Red Bull and these rings, realistically, is only going to run the team this season and next season. That's all it is. There's no engine development because the engines are fucking frozen, right? They're frozen. Like, realistically, in the next 2 weeks, you're not going to come up with 25 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they might tweak an engine before it goes into homologation, but they're not going to build a revolutionary new engine in the next.
Exactly. They could smooth out the power deliveries, things of that nature, but they're not going to get it that big boost.
So all they can develop is engine and aero, right? And it is a number of people's opinion, including mine and other journalists, that this is going to be a very bleak year for KTM and probably next year in the whole development piece.
Yeah.
What it also means is that if they're not developing the 850cc engine now, they're falling further and further and further behind. Every day, those other teams are coming up with new ideas, new thoughts, getting the bike further towards on the test track and all of this. So let's just be very clear on that to that person. While I don't know their actual numbers and figures, I do understand if you don't have any money, you can't buy new toys and you can't pay staff to develop the engines of your next bikes.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I don't mean to be a smart ass, but it's common logical sense that if you're broke, you can't do it. You know what I mean? And right now, guys, KTM are broke. That's why they're in this protective thing from all their creditors. They don't have enough money to pay their bills.
You know the old saying, how to make a small fortune in racing? Start with a large one.
That's it. Yeah, and that's very true. But, now it is looking positive for KTM because they have, I think, 900 million or so secured. Right. They have till the end of February to sort everything out with whoever they owe money to. Like realistically, if they owe you 10 million, right, and they come to you and they say, we'll give you 5, you have 2 choices. You can take the 5 or risk losing everything.
Yeah.
Most companies will turn around and go, fuck it. It's not worth, like, the court or the lawyer's fees and the court fees and all of that. It's not going to be worth it. I'll take the 5 million and fuck off. Do you know what I mean? So look, they while they get into a good place with creditors, they still have a big job on their hands then to become profitable and to generate the cash flow again. Even though a lot of people are buying KTMs right now because, and I know there's people out there who are worried about warranties and all of this. That's part of it. That's part of the fun. Like, you try and go and buy an original cylinder for an Aprilia RS 250. Best of luck there, kid. Do you know what I mean? Just best of fucking luck to you.
And the companies, even on the best circumstances, the companies are cutting back on the inventories.
Oh yeah. New old stuff.
I don't care how strong the company is. They've all went back and went, why are we keeping these things this long? We don't need to.
Yeah, that's
we'll
it.
Make it order.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I was. It's funny now because a couple of weeks ago I was looking for it. No, I did find one, right? But it was fucking astronomical in price. Like, I mean, the cylinder was costing, if I was going to go with that one, was going to cost more than the engine rebuild.
Yeah.
So now that's an original one, but your man was able to work his magic. Sometimes, this is one of the things that I love about this side of the world, is that I have a mechanic in the UK called Mike Hemingway. And Mike is a retired MotoGP mechanic. And he just fucking loves, he's pure old school. Now, you walk into his shop, like, there's no digital fucking this or that or the other. Like, it is pure old school. And like, he will, like, he does the R6 and like he's done bikes for BSB, World Supersport, the TT, all of these. But like, he's a real old school sort of guy. So like, he'll hone this and he'll fucking do the inlet and the outlet and all of this. But he'll sit down and he'll say to you before the engine comes out, like, and he'll go, here I'd say about 141 horsepower at the rear wheel. And then you bring it, but then he gives you a very structured technique to run in the bike or the engine and all of this. And then you do bring it to the to the dyno, for instance, and it's like 139.8 or 141.5. He's within a fucking fraction of it. No digital, no fucking this. Do you know what I mean? It's just a proper boy is what we call him, like real pure old school, like for all
You
my
don't have
gearbox.
those here. I had one, like guy like that, and then he retired. He's 80 years old. You know, you gotta
This guy, yeah,
you gotta hang it up eventually.
yeah, he does. Mike now does 3 engines a year, and like Mike will ring you and say, "Do you want an engine done?" And he has his few favorites. Do you want an engine done? But like he might work on that engine then for 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't be fucking waiting for it. Like don't be rushing. And but like he's just some boy, and he grinds in between each gear in the gearbox so that it's smoother for the shift. It's just fucking batshit crazy what it is. Anyway, he has a few TT wins, a few British Superbike wins, a few MotoGP wins. I can't say who were some of the riders, but he has some amazing memorabilia. Let's just call it that way.
My guy, he was in with MV World Superbike, so he did my tune. Oh, that turned out phenomenal.
Yeah. It's
the best tune I ever had.
It's brilliant when you have people that are really good at their jobs.
I'll tell you what's close though. The Aprilia, the Gabbro tune. Boy, that's a hell of a tune.
Yeah, but is that something you could just go and buy?
Yeah.
Right.
That is a phenomenal tune. I mean, I was in shock. I'm like, wow. Not only give me horsepower, smooth, and the engine was cooler. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you can't get better than this. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm a stickler on having an engine running cool.
Yeah. Jesus, you wouldn't like my R6.
No. Well, yeah. That was the
really hot.
Okay, I got an extra 15 horsepower out of this thing by the time it was done, and no. I got an extra, say, 12 horsepower, but and it's running.
Not really like you're gonna fucking use it anyway, Jake.
Yeah, right.
I don't see you standing up in the pegs wheeling down the road.
I said, do you want to run with the They said you want to run with the next velocity stacks next. I said no, I got the free flow intake. I don't need the velocity stacks.
Yeah.
Then you're starting to get too far out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd probably fucking do it, all right, though, just for shits and giggles, just to say I have it in it, like, you know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, talking about KTM, Valentino Rossi is trying to get his claws into Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see him succeeding too.
I can. I think you're right. I think it's either he goes into Grassini or he goes into VR46.
Don't forget, he has two of his. That kid got two of his idols. He has Marc Marquez, and he has
Rossi. Yeah, and he gets on well with both of them. Do you know what I mean? But no, look, I just found it interesting. Obviously, he was at Rossi's ranch for the race at Trivulia, and it kind of makes sense. And this going back to KTM's situation, like he's already growing impatient and not being able to win races or not having equipment to be in the position to win races. Yes, he's crashed an awful lot. Not saying that at all for anything, but these riders will never ever blame themselves and will always want the best equipment that they can get, right? And like with Marquez's thing there last year, crashing weekly on a Honda, do you know what I mean? Gets onto a Ducati and it's all a different fucking planet, right? He is looking at that. He's looking at the current situation with KTM. Obviously, his manager is also advising him, and that I can see it happening. I can see Acosta getting on a year-old Ducati, and now actually is the time to be sorting that out, because the 2025 and the 2026 bike will be virtually identical.
Yeah.
Like no manufacturer next season, they'll develop it during the season, but any development next year will more so be on the 2027 bike. They won't waste time on the 2026 bike. If you're not in the fight, they won't waste time on it. So I think it's going to be very interesting, to see what happens. I think the deal will be done pretty early. I think Acosta will know in the coming months, 2-3 months, where KTM is actually going, and then a decision will be made, and then it's either Di Giannantonio or Morbidelli is on the fucking ejection seat, and if he does go to the Grassini, then it's Alex Marquez that's on the ejection seat. There's no other space for anyone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Aldeguer has a 2-year contract, and in 2026 he has to get the factory bike.
And I wouldn't think Marc Marquez would complain if his brother got the ejection seat, because you know what, he's got him so far. You can't expect him to keep him forever. You know what I mean? He can't live on the house forever.
It becomes a business decision, and again, this is the kind of the thing. Mark will never, ever, ever, ever have the stranglehold on Ducati that he had on Honda.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
No, never have that influence. Never have the thing. You know, if Ducati don't want to fucking do it, Mark will just have to suck it up, literally. Do you know what I mean? And that's it.
Did you hear what Mark said on the 3?
What did he say on the 3?
He goes, well, if you looked at Marquez's numbers, data, he goes, that data Marc Marquez is the best data. He goes, Bagnaia has the best results. He goes, and I was really surprised. He goes, I'm not going to win I don't think I'm going to win the title next year. I didn't like hearing that, just because you're a racer. You should think I'm going to win. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's misfounded, you should say, I want to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not here for numbers. I'm here to compete.
And the torpedoes full speed ahead attitude. And he says, the bike will be good. I'll make the bike better. But I'm not going to be able to make up time. I think he's talking about the engine freeze bit. Which
I think that's one of the problems there is the engine, but you know, just the usability of the whole bike. That bike, if he gets out in front and he's smooth and he's this and that and the other, yeah, he has a chance. But if himself and if Mark and Pecco come for a battle with them, I wouldn't be too confident in that battle. Let's just say, you know, because like the Aprilia, like we saw, very rare can the Aprilia get into a dogfight and be comfortable. You know, so for me, that's kind of where things are.
Or FIM, take off the engine freeze. They can at least do that.
Well, I know we bitch and complain about Dorna, right? But it is nothing compared to the shit that is going on in the FIM in Formula One. Like, you can't even say fuck now, and it's going to cost you 10 grand, and you do it again, it's going to cost you 20 grand, and you do it again, it's going to cost you 30 grand and a month suspension. Like, you should see the amount of fucking control. At least they somewhat let the riders fucking alone. You know what I mean? To be themselves, right? So, you know, when we look at it, like, okay, the engine freeze, I understand why they're doing it. You know, that came from the teams, not Dorna. Do you know what I mean? Because basically,
It came from FIM.
No,
not Dorna.
Teams. No, it came from the teams. That's what the teams originally were pushing. So the teams were originally pushing for engine development freeze when the new regulations came in, because they're allowed to start developing the 850.
And the Aprilia was the deciding vote, right?
Aprilia originally, it was Aprilia, KTM, and Ducati all agreed on it, and Yamaha and Honda didn't want it because, of course. But then they were told that they would have the concessions anyway, so they can develop their engine. So it made no difference, right?
Yeah.
And then while it was 3-2, then Aprilia turned around and said, "Well, no,
Yeah.
actually, we want to develop their engine," but it was too late then because Dorna already told Yamaha and Honda, "Well, you will have your engine development according to concession." So then it was 4-1 or whatever it was. So
I'm sorry, they can't keep going on with this. The Japanese, yeah, it might be nice to have the more the merrier up there, but they can't keep going on with this. The Japanese have to win at all costs because if they don't come through, right, the Japanese, it just fouls things up more and more. Either shit or get off the pot. Either get done, get competitive, or go home.
yeah, I think
I mean,
I think though 27 is a natural reset, right? Everyone will have concessions, but
and what happens if they don't?
how do you mean?
What happens if they're not competitive again?
Yeah, that's the big question, and then that's what the meeting then is about. Is that everyone has started on? Excuse me. Everyone has then started on a level ground. Everyone gets concessions in the first year or the first 6 months, and then it's a reevaluated, and then whatever. But I hope the fuck they disappear after a season or two. You know, that would be my hope.
Yeah,
Because
the last thing we
is
want to have is do
like
like
this.
World Superbike with we're going to put out the RPM limits, and that'll just might as well just
Yeah,
shut the doors.
it's definitely a weird one, and it's just one of those things. Hopefully, will just how would you say in Ireland we have this saying, it'll just fuck off in time.
Yeah, but if they do like World Superbike where they just go, oh, this company's going to have this RPM and this one's going to have this. You can't get around that one.
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are. If you cut off the RPMs, and they strangle the shit out of that engine for in 2027.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So
it will be interesting, but we can't necessarily predict that yet. I also do want to talk about, and when I read it, I was like, you just made the rock you're going to fucking perish on there. But Davide Tardazzi came out and said that he believes it's going to be easy to manage both Marquez and and I was just like, nah. It's like the more I was reading it, I was like, oh, you shut up. Will you just I'm sure their PR guy was looking at him and it was just like, shut up. Stop fucking talking. Shut up.
whole thing. I'm still up in the air about that. Now, if you take you have the two riders, and you say, listen, you're both going to get the same parts. Marquez, you can stomp your little feet all day. You're getting the same parts as Bagnaia. Those days are over. Okay.
Yeah.
So you both go out in identical machinery, and you don't kill each other. No bash passing. Okay. As long as he doesn't bash pass, everything's hunky dory. That's the problem. I mean, but that's the elephant in the room.
Well,
Will he stop?
You have that elephant in the room, but then you also have the elephant in the room. Well, Gigi sat in Pecco's chair and didn't fucking sit in my chair. Or
what are they, 12?
Gigi said, "Yes, they fucking are. They're
I'm telling Mom."
Exactly, and that's how it's going to stay. Like we look at it, right? Everything was very cordial between Rossi and fucking Lorenzo, and then when it was like tiny shit happened, and it was blown out of proportion, and then there was a fucking concrete wall built, and then there was fucking all of this, and man, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be easy to manage those two egos, right? And I know
I can see Marquez being a bitch because you know what? When they had the famous when Rossi came through the pack and Marquez suddenly forgot how to ride, remember? And he didn't pass Lorenzo at the end. Like all of a sudden he was flying up through and he hits Lorenzo and all of a sudden he's dropping off. All of a sudden he's 2 seconds slower and he doesn't pass him. I mean, how can you justify that? I mean, he's another manufacturer, and you're gonna throw the race for another manufacturer?
Yeah. Look, it's Look, we've seen this in multiple occasions in riders where there is petty shit that goes on. Like, we saw like this year with Glenn Irwin and Tommy Bridewell, right? Like Glenn Irwin, not part of the battle for the title. You know, the two boys were going at it, and he sticks himself in the middle of it just to fuck the other fella up. Not part of it, not part of the battle for the championship. And you know, in my world, that means after the race, you knock that fucker out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you do, like, you know, body parts of him nearly, in my terms, would be like, you know, and
I thought Rossi was going to crack him after that race. I said, this is so blatant. And the announcers weren't jumping down his throat. I was like, how can you not see this? He didn't all of a sudden forget how to ride, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm not condoning violence, by the way, just in case anyone thinks that I do, but there are times where you need to crack the living fuck out of someone for being
Yes, there is. There's times where you got to belt somebody.
Exactly. And like getting involved in a title fight that you're not involved in or have no, like, if it was your teammate, you could say, fine, you know, you're helping your teammate. But if it was nothing, I think it's a bit over the top. And anyway, before I get myself into trouble, anyway, we'll change that topic. But yeah, look, I 100% agree in kind of those circumstances where people are going, you know. But I still don't think it's going to be very easy for Ducati, or as easy as Ducati think to manage Merck and Pecco. I think it'll actually be harder than they believe. Everything is okay now. They're all nicely pie. They're all pretending to like each other. But I just don't think.
Unless one has considerable speed over the other. Unless one is faster than the other and can pull enough where they're not going to have the bash pass because they're not going to be close enough to one another.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think Bagnaia they're splitting hairs between the speed of them.
I think they are, and I think where one will be slow, the other will be fast, and where the other's fast, the other will be slow. Do you know what I mean? So I think it'll balance itself out pretty nicely, actually, if I'm honest. So all in all, it'll be good. Who else do I want to talk about? Actually, Jack Miller. This is another person, in my view, that's in an ejection seat this year. You know, he really needs to come up in the world. Let's just say. And I do want to actually correct. I do want to correct myself. It's 2.2 billion actually for. I just looked at my note. It's confirmed that the file has claims of 2.2 billion euros is what KTM owes. So, sorry, I said it was 2 billion.
What did you say? 2.2 or 2.8?
2.2 billion.
Okay,
is what it is. Jack Miller, I think he's going to have a make or break season. Huh?
I'm sorry. You got to love him, but I don't think he has the talent.
He has the talent to be a good number 2 rider.
Yeah.
And look, when you're looking at the job that Yamaha have given him, he's not there to battle with Fabio. There's not one of them there to battle with Fabio. For me, I think don't get me wrong. I think Rins is very good, but I just don't think he's on Fabio's level.
When is Fabio's contract up? Do you know?
26, the end of 26, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, look, I think Fabio is one of those ones. He's unique, but Jack Miller, for me, he's in an ejection seat place. So is Miguel Oliveira. This year for them is just mainly understand the bike, develop the bike. Like they're probably going to start on the inline 4, so they're going to have to adapt their riding style to the inline 4 from the V. And then I think they're going to. I still believe they're going to get the V at some point during this season. They're going to get it, and then they will develop the V, and then it will be if there's a massive difference, they'll introduce it in the next engine cycle for Fabio.
Yeah.
As long as it's reliable, which is the main thing. But I can fucking tell you, right, even though Yamaha are denying it, that V4 is fucking running around in some dirty little track in Japan, putting thousands of fucking miles, or putting 1.5 times race engine mileage on the engine, or twice the race engine mileage on the bike to make sure it lasts. That testing has to be done at this stage. Do you know what I mean? But then saying that, like, that is a completely new bike. I would think there's new anchor points and all in the engine and all of that. You know what I mean? So, it will be very interesting.
And folks, not to be the wet blanket, but it's very doubtful that thing's going to come out of the box a winner.
Yeah. That needs to be. There's still an awful lot of tuning and everything needs to go into that. It's not going to be when the Honda came out with the 211V, do you know what I mean? That was it, Rocky Road,
the V5, yeah,
and it blew the fucking doors off everything else. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, look, it is interesting to see. It's still, it's a long way ahead, and obviously this year as well is Yamaha's first year without Lynn Jarvis at the helm. He obviously retired at the end of last year. So they're going to be new face.
Really? I thought this was his last year.
No, last year was it?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, new guy. I must find out his name actually. Yeah, so he's gone. What else? Then we have Pooch. And I think he's actually. And I'm going to floor you here. I actually agree at Pooch on one of these things, right? And Pooch was saying that the Honda can't wait till 2027 just to have a reset and try and be competitive again. They have to start pushing things and this, that, and the other. And then he said that he believes that Espargaro will put pressure on the race riders.
Pooch needs a fresh bag of excuses.
Yeah, but no, I do believe that he do it. Like similarly to this, right? Every year we've seen Danny Pedrosa come out and do a wild card, right? Right. And every year you see the test riders wipe the sweat off the brow when they just about beat Danny. Right? Yeah. When they just about do it, right? So and I think that's what Honda are trying to do with Aleix Espargaro. Now, saying that, I'm not sure Aleix Espargaro is the same as Danny Pedrosa. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think he has the drive, personally.
Yeah, I think Danny has always been a very technically advanced person, and this, that, and the other, and
he had time to rest and start doing miss the sport again. Remember?
Yeah.
And get back there and say, I want to run. You know what I mean? I want to get that. Maybe I could beat that guy, that kid.
Yeah.
Where Espargaro's has gone from one brand to another.
He has, but I just think, and
a lesser brand to boot. I can see him going, oh God, I went from good. I just got thrown in the fire. This thing's a piece of crap. That's gonna douse him. Want.
Yeah, I think. But I think with the Espargaro, he's a very emotional rider, right? And with Danny's not emotional in that way, right? Danny's very technically focused, and Danny would go back and look at the data and say, why am I not getting on with the bike? Do you know what I mean? And he'd be more analytical, whereas Espargaro come and go, it's shit, it won't fucking work. Right? And in his own mind, he won't understand why it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas you can see Danny sitting down, looking at the data, going, okay, all right, okay.
Let's see why it doesn't work.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's going to be the major difference. Also, Aleix is he's fast, and he did a great race in the last race of the season, last race to get into the season, but
he is on and off. You got to admit, he's like on and off rider.
Yeah.
You know?
He is, but that's what I mean is that like I just don't know whether his heart is in it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is his heart in it in testing when no one is around to push it to that 10/10ths? Do you know what I mean? Is he going to be stuck on 6/10ths? Do you know what I mean? But look, you know, at least there'll be a different voice in the test department at Honda rather than Stefan Bradl.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it could be.
Bradl just wasn't fast enough to make anything, make his data pertinent.
Yeah. Well, like he was racing and testing and racing and testing and racing and testing. Fucker must have been burnt out. Do you know what I mean? He must have been burnt out from riding the fucking bike. Like, do you know what I mean? And then you're on it, and you don't. They've changed everything in the fucking bike, so you don't actually know your arse from your elbow. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It is just like, you know, the bike is probably never the same any two fucking sessions. You know, so I don't know. It's one of those weird things that we'll only see, I suppose. But you know, I do agree that Elish is capable. Like, there's not a lot of difference in riding ability between Joan Mir, Luca Marini, and Elish Espargaro. There's not.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're all. I would class them as a kind of in the same band together.
Yeah.
So will he keep the pressure on him? I don't know. It will be interesting. It will be interesting to see. And of course, we have the test coming up Friday. Friday, isn't it?
Finally.
Yes. So
but they did have some superbike testing, but it was raining.
We did have superbike testing.
Your boy was doing okay. Was doing well. Ray.
Well, yeah, like Yamaha came out and they said some pretty fucking strong and harsh words about Ray. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know.
And it was kind of like most.
He's like, oh, he did well. Oh, he's not doing like we wanted him to do. Like, what? You just got done praising him, and now you're putting nails through his palms.
Yeah. So look, it's a big year for Johnny Ray. You know, like I will be very honest. There has to have been questions in Pata Yamaha whether they would keep him this year or not.
It's not. Yeah, it's not good.
No.
It's not good PR when you have a 6-time world champion being a back marker. You know.
Yeah.
Or mid packer, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So it will be it will be interesting. And yeah, so like we have MotoGP Friday, I think, is it 31st? Is that the first test?
I'm rooting for the Moto.
The Moto, in World Super. I can't wait to see how
with a steel trellis frame. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that goes in
more or less the MV with a Kawasaki engine.
Yeah. So we have coming up on Friday is the 31st. So the 31st to the 2nd, we have the shakedown test. I will be covering as much of that as I can. And then on the 5th to the 7th of February, we have the Malaysian test. And again, I'll cover as much of that as I can. And then the 12th and 13th, we have the Thai test. And then we have the season opener the 28th of February. Hallelujah. January has been the longest 380 days
God,
yes. I have ever put down. It's been so slow with shit going on or whatever shit is going on.
And those fake websites make it even worse.
Man.
They just, I don't know why, it just gets under your skin and makes it worse every day. It's awesome. We have a new, bombshell, blah, blah, blah. God, shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, by the way, little thing here, side note. If you ever wonder why I rave about the MV F4 coming in 4th and 5th when the World Superbike, do you realize that bike is so old? It was the same, came out when the first R1 came out. You remember the red and white one?
Yep.
Back in 1999? That's when that bike came out. Can you imagine Yamaha come out and going, we're going to race this. This is the bike we're going to race. They'd be like, what? You got a fiddler's chance in hell. All of a sudden, it comes in fourth and fifth. You're like, how the hell did that happen? You
Yeah,
know,
it's very
for a little
easy to,
company.
yeah.
You know, for a little company, they have some engineering might.
Or well, I wouldn't necessarily call engineering might as engineering might. I more so call it engineering common sense.
Well, they're taking a 25-year-old engine and massaging it into a.
But that's common sense. Like how do you really get the best out of it, right? Rather than, like again, let's go back to the Ducati KTM, a pretty way of testing bikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's what engineering common sense is, right? Let's design a big fucking wing and put it on the back of the bike.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens if the wing falls off? Well, then we'll bolt it down tighter the next time.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Honda and them, right? Well, let's put a wing on the bike. Okay. Yeah. That'll be next season.
Yeah. Well, MV did that with the transition gear. Remember? They're like, how do we get any? Well, we're out of horsepower in the cylinders, from the combustion chambers. What are we gonna do? Well, we'll make the gears later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else can you do? We're out of options. You know.
But like I always remember when Honda were still on the springs, or the valves had valve springs, and Yamaha and all of them already had pneumatic springs. And I always found it fascinating that in the Honda F1 program, they all used pneumatic valves, right? Which the engines are built in the same fucking complex.
Right.
Right? And no one talks to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just boggles my mind. And again, it's one of those things of, how would I say, it's engineering common sense. What happens if we put a wig on there? Well, let's fucking try it firstly. Let's see.
With that case, why hasn't Ducati come out and put the pneumatic valves on their bike? I mean, I know they have the Desmotronic valves, but cars in F1 tried the Desmotronic valves ages ago. It doesn't make as much power as the pneumatic valves, right?
Yeah.
But yet theirs makes more power than the bikes with pneumatic valves.
Yeah, because they crack the code.
They always have an ace in the hole. They can always make more power.
Yeah. Well, they crack the code on it, right? And that's fine. But again, I'm just going back to the standard way of their engineering is let's try it. Let's see what it can do. Let's get an understanding of it. And this is what I'm talking about, engineering common sense. Like those guys doing that F4 back then, right? They were trying to.
No, because you figured out not long ago they were World Superbike.
Yeah, but they were trying to improve the bike while keeping it as reliable as possible. Now they didn't always, to be fair, it wasn't the most reliable bike, right?
Racing, but the engines when for a street bike was reliable.
Yeah. But we're talking about in their engineering racing to keep.
With the thing has high. First off, it has hemispherical heads, so they're taking a back step to begin with. So now they have to make up for that. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do it.
It's tougher to make it reliable when you have old-fashioned.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm just saying is that they were doing it in a very logical and common sense way. Do you know what I mean? They weren't trying to reinvent anything. They were just trying to make it tweak and better.
Yeah.
Whereas where Yamaha and Honda still are, right, is they're trying to understand something that they've no understanding of, right? And it's clear they don't fully understand where they are. Like Yamaha brought in Bertoloni, Marmoni, all of these guys, and I'll give Yamaha kudos. They brought Bertoloni in the start of last year, right? Honda have brought in, what's his name? Romano Albellino or whatever his name is, this year. So they're a fucking full year behind getting someone who understands what's going on into the team. Because
by the way, folks, just to make it clear, cross-plane crank engine makes less horsepower than the standard 180-degree crank, 2 up, 2 down, like the Kawasaki, whatever.
Yeah.
You do that so it gives it better grip when it's pulling away because it gives that tire time to grasp the road, right?
Yeah. And how you will see this, lads, is on YouTube. There is actually a video of the exhaust pulses.
Yeah.
Between the two, and you will actually see the puffs of engine exhaust coming out, and you can actually see the tire. It's in full slow motion. I'll try and find it, but it's actually really interesting to watch, and you can see how the cross plane crank helps
grip.
with grip. Yeah,
but it's not as well balanced as a regular 180. That's what gave them the problem. That's why they had the crank bearings went bad on them. All the crank bearings went bad, and they had to change all them engines out because they threw the dice, going, "Let's see if it'll hold." Because this is during the financial crisis when they built that. You know, they were designing an engine. So they threw the dice on that one. But in that case, I can understand that because when it's like KTM, you know. Do you think when they started getting into financial troubles, they started to cut corners, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the Japanese did from 2008. That's why their reliability's creeping down because they are in financial problems. So they cut it down. They're human beings. They're going to do the same thing as anybody else, you know?
Yeah. But look, anyway, Friday, can't wait for it to kick off. I believe, what is it? How far? What I presume kicks off at 8 o'clock or so in Malaysia. So whatever that time is for yourselves, I don't know, because the people around the world. But it will be good to have it back. I am expecting to see some updates. I won't expect to see all updates. This is only the shakedown test, so it is test riders and stuff like that. It's not all the main riders.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet the ranch on the outcome. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. It's
a lot of people do. You know that.
Yeah. Now, just some of the things there as well have just been going around. A lot of the stuff on launch bikes is already stuff that we've seen before. I read some articles there where it was like I think B Sport did the whole thing of the 2025 Aprilia, and I was like, it's not the 2025 Aprilia. We fucking saw this in 2024.
Yeah.
You know, so like I would expect in the first test some of the bikes to look pretty different to what we saw in the Valencia test. And again, it was same reported in the thing that it's the GP25 full final spec. It's not. And Ducati have said that. Ducati have said that it's not the final spec that they're going to race. And so, like for me, I would think the last day of the Malaysian test, and maybe the second or last day in Thailand. I think that's where we will see the arrows coming out, or any arrow updates or really funky designs. But look, it's going to be interesting to see them and see how they go. The only other thing, actually, right, and who do you think is going to win Rookie of the Year before they even turn the fucking wheel in 2025? Who is going to win it?
I never keep track of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but like it's an outside bet, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, what you have a $5 in the bookies and you have to spend it, like, do you know what I mean? You don't know what to bet on.
I want to say I'm going to go with the Ducati's choice with the
Aldegar.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Agura, right? And the reason I'm going to go with Agura is I actually hope he outperforms Raul Fernandez.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just hope.
Yeah, remember everybody was his fan when he first came across. I was like, no, he's a punk. You know.
I just no look. He's had 2 good years. Like, I know the KTM situation was shit, right, or the Tech 3, right, but I just don't see it. and I really, really, really don't see like I would nearly have preferred to see Nakagami on on the trackhouse bike than him, like Joe to be.
Exactly.
But anyway, I just don't know whether he's all hype or whether he's the real deal. Like I would happily take it back if he comes out and has an absolutely amazing season. But from what I've seen of him, I don't think it is. I also do want to.
We will say we were wrong, but
actually, and I do have now. Well, I still don't know whether I'm wrong about this or not, but I do. There was an interview with, as we know, Bastianini's manager or change management team and whatnot. And I kind of, in a podcast, I think, or a video, I can't remember, I said I believe that it's probably because of what happened in the whole KTM deal, and that there was a bit of ergy-bergy. And then Pernak came out and said that he's actually ill and that he won't be attending all of the races, and there was a mutual agreement and all this. I'm not 100% sure do I fully believe that, but apparently that's the official line. It's because Pernak is sick. But I still don't know. So I could be wrong. Could have been wrong. Might have been wrong once. But yeah, look, I'm really excited about testing. I have my vernier calipers out so that I'll be measuring things on the thing, because like the likes of Aprilia, they're bastards. Like they're really bastards, because if they change the swing arm, for example, you can't find out.
You're still mad about that, aren't you?
Yeah. Sleepwalker actually sent me down to plastic vernier calipers,
right?
I actually still do it to this day. Like, so sometimes I just measure different points between the wheels and the swing arms and stuff like that from pictures, and I can kind of understand then, is it new or is it not new? How fucking sad am I? Anyway, but look, that's it. Look, hopefully we'll have a good lot to talk about from Fridays. Of course, I will do as much of the placings and whatnot and laps and try and get some pictures. But I don't think it's been televised your side, is it?
No, we don't have television here.
No, but is it on the MotoGP app?
Oh, on the MotoGP app, yeah. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Oh well, I don't know. I still have to make my mind up whether I'm going to buy the app this year or not. We kind of liked actually sitting down last year and watching it on the telly and then doing the videos. But actually, saying that, have MotoGP come out and said who they're replacing Crafar with? Does that come out yet?
No.
It'd be interesting.
I said somebody like I said David Emmett would be phenomenal. David Emmett's been an announcer. He knows his stuff backwards and forwards. I mean, he really knows his stuff, and he has a big set of balls on him. He'll tell.
David Emmett or Gavin Emmett?
No, David Emmett. He owns Moto Matters website.
Okay.
And he's an old guy, and he's on that podcast, Paddock podcast.
Paddock Pass.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Actually, the other two guys who are with him are experienced too, on that website, and they're good. They're like on our caliber as far as morning news and stuff.
Right. You see, I don't watch podcasts.
We are. I'll tell you what. It's like us, and then Crash and
Moto PG. There's a good few. There's a good few actually.
Yeah.
But I still don't have. I just don't have time to listen to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then probably me, I'd be probably shouting at them if I disagreed. So I'd probably only end up upsetting myself. That's kind of why I don't watch those fucking shit channels either. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'd only get annoyed myself. So,
but anyway, they come something on the thing on the outside, and it doesn't even come. Even the people clicking onto it are getting mad now. They're like, shut this shit down. Yeah.
It's all clickbait. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
But anyway, I suppose on that bombshell, we'll wrap it up there for this week. Roll on Friday, Jakey Poo. We'll be flat out on the old texts and in the WhatsApp group, and we will go from there. So roll on Friday, my man. Roll on Friday, and we're 4 weeks out. 4 weeks out to our first race.
God, I think it would ever come.
I know, man. I know.
I'm sitting there freezing my ass off. I can't even go outside because it's 4 degrees. You know, and I'm waiting to have my heater, my generator put on. So if the electricity goes out, I have electricity. So my sump pump will go on. It won't flood the basement.
Christ almighty. Yeah, we just had a fucking storm here, man, and made shit of the country. I think it's like 700,000 houses were out of power and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Which is big for Ireland.
I have a sump pump, and right next to it's or a few feet away is the heater. So it doesn't. I mean, it can't. I was like, does it go out a lot? I said it can't go out at all because if it has a lax, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes right into it floods the basement.
Yeah.
So
on that bombshell, we'll wrap it up. We'll see everyone again next week.